Hey guys, it's Kevin with MixCoach, and this is episode 6 of the MixCoach Minute. Brought to you by, as always, or for now, MixCoach Member. MixCoach Member is a great membership site for you to learn to mix, and I really would love for you to check it out. Check it out at MixCoachMember.com. Alright? Anyway, let's get right to the question. Let's see. Carl F. Weber says, how do you get good separation in a mix? Snare, lead vocals, overall clarity between everything. More mixing for the moms. Well, it looks like Carl has heard me on MixCoach Member talk about mixing for the moms. And just for you guys who don't know, I have a theory that when you're balancing everything, if you can mix each instrument as if their mom is listening to it, and make sure that they could, like the drummer or the bass player, anybody could point it out and say, "That's me playing on that, Mom." So at least you can hear it. Anyway, it's just a little theory I've got, and it's the way I try to approach a mix. That's what I call mixing for the moms. But you wanted to know, Carl, about good separation in a mix. And I know you've probably heard me talk about this before, but to me, the best way to get the best clarity in a mix is to make sure that your phase issues are not taking over the mix. So you'll want to mix in mono as much as you can. I mix in mono probably at least 80% of the time. What that does is it makes sounds that are out of phase with each other on the left side and the right side of the speakers. It really becomes apparent when you put it in mono. So if you want clarity, what you have to do is correct the phase while it's in mono. That's the best way to hear it. Sometimes you can do it by not using one side. If it's a stereo sound and you're not getting clarity from it, sometimes you make it mono. Like sometimes, for an example, room mics. Sometimes you don't need 2 room mics to make it stereo, and it takes away from the definition of the drums, the clarity of the drums. Sometimes keyboard players will track like a Wurlitzer. I'm sitting here looking at my Wurlitzer. Sometimes they'll track Wurlitzer in stereo. Wurlitzers are mono, almost always mono, and things like this. You make better decisions when you listen to it in mono. Same thing with balance. A lot of times small phase issues will make you not mix something loud enough because it's wide, and anytime something is wide in your ears or in your headphones, it makes you not mix them loud enough, usually because it brings a lot of attention to themselves. A very wide track will make you hear it first. So when it's in mono, you disregard that and you mix it, you balance it the way it should. When you put it back in stereo, it becomes wide again, then you can decide what to do with it then, which is usually, narrow it up. A couple of days ago I talked about stereo widening tools, and that's one of the reasons I don't use them a lot. It's because it messes with my ears. And in mono, it kind of takes away from the clarity. So you were asking about, and specifically, you were asking about separation in a mix. Again, phase is your best friend, or things being in phase, and a lot of times you can zoom into a WAV file, nudge the WAV file to where it's in phase, or to where it sounds obviously better when you flip one side in phase or out of phase. When it's obviously better one way or the other in mono, that's the way you're going to be able to check and see about the overall mix. Snare, same thing. You'd be, more often than not, snare drums are out of phase with the overheads, and when they are, they sound a little thin in mono. You can't really hear it in stereo, but in mono, the worst case scenario of a mix, you will definitely hear it. That adds definition. It adds a little low end punch to it, one way or the other. Sometimes it's in phase. It'll be pretty obvious. You ask about lead vocals. Lead vocals is one of those things that you usually won't run into a phase problem with that, but you can find a lot of clarity usually with a concept that I call the attack principle, and that's setting up your compressor to where just the beginnings of the words pop through the mix and not the rest of the word, or not the rest of the word, but the beginnings of the word will bring clarity to the vocalist. Another thing you can do is add a little top-end sheen, which I do usually with the MAG, M-A-A-G EQ. I think that's about maybe $100, $150 EQ. It adds air, but you can also do it with the SSL EQ too by adding, running the frequency all the way up. I think it goes to 17 or 18 kilohertz. You can run up just a little bit of that until you hear some air in the vocal. And a lot of times that has to do with how good of a mic it is that the vocal is recorded on. So let's see, overall clarity between everything. I think, Carl, if you will do that, listen in mono, and then just anything that has more than one track on it. Even bass is one track. A lot of times you can flip the phase of a bass against the kick, and you will notice an obvious change in punch and clarity. So phase is your best friend when you're trying to get clarity out of a mix. Okay? I hope this helps. I hope this leads you down the right path. And thanks for asking such a good question. And hopefully you guys can get some benefit out of that. So we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.